That's
I also think it's a lot of the people who don't know a lot about Dorothy. I think we should make it like it's a balance. It's good. I know a lot of people don't know a lot about it. It's good also to hear directly from her granddaughter a lot of this stuff. So we should make it a balance and not just right. Richard.
Put it around me.
I think everyone should ask whatever they
I
want.
think there's a question that's been put out there, which I think is a very important one.
I'll break the ice.
And then, we can go back to kind of think about like the day-to-day and what, and maybe a better understanding of what the Catholic work is doing on a day-to-day. But yeah, go ahead.
So I think honestly the topic was God sent for me today, because you were chiseling away at things that I was struggling with. I'm a child protective specialist. I work for ACS. So I deal with the Department of Homeless Services. I deal with public assistance, and I've been able to. I just told my friends here, I hit a glass ceiling today that I didn't know existed, because there's such injustice when it comes to how the city, I want to say that, and the services we have in place deal with minorities versus the rich. And I would say the rich. I wouldn't even go into the ethnicity, but the rich. The legal system, the way that it's almost out to persecute those that can't defend themselves. And I've been in situations like today. I really struggled because I said it's so unfair. There's people that are ignorant to the law. They haven't had the opportunity to go to school, and so the system works very differently for those people than for those that can afford the attorney that you can pay $900 an hour to defend you. And so I was struggling with that. And I said, what can I do? Because I have to provide a service to both. The wealthy are still struggling with the same issues the people that are dealing with the poverty are, but it works completely different. It's two different spectrums. So I can't even express, I don't think I can articulate how many nerves you hit with this talk. I really think that the Lord was speaking directly to me. I don't know if that even answered your question, but I don't know. Maybe it's more for me than for you guys. but it was an amazing day for me to, you go from homes that have nothing, that are not even furnished, to homes that are multi-million-dollar. They're staged. So I was struggling with, I felt like so much social injustice. What do I do?
And you do direct social work, and I'm not sure how many of that. I don't know if that's true for most of the people.
There's one here. One
But
social worker.
I don't know where. Yeah, and I don't know where the various. I don't know what the lifestyles are, where people are coming at daily life from. But you're already invested in making life of the city more livable, making the nation more livable, a critique of the nation. And I don't know, a critique of the culture. And I don't know that that's where other folks here are at. I assume there's some truth to that. But I'd like to know more, because it would give us more to interact about. So. I'm trying to give some sense of the life of the Catholic work. We both live, Martha and I live in two houses that are 2 blocks apart. 2/3 of our community are people who were otherwise homeless, who were able to move into the houses that we also inhabit with them. 1/3 of the community are people who've come to the community because they wanted to give themselves to this sort of struggle that Dorothy Day created. They come typically as Catholics, but they do come wanting a world without war. It's so central to the Catholic worker, and they tie that very directly to care for the people who are living on the streets, some of whom come into the house. So we do take care of our guests in the house, some of them to the point of bathing them. So it's sort of a full immersion. The question of Father Dan Bergen or Dorothy Day's position as regards the Vietnam War or World War II is very interesting history and public demonstrations about those sort of events that are common parlance to ourselves. But in terms of the life of New York City, I certainly don't know enough, and imagine that people who are involved in the social work world here would know more about that and know what some of the pressing issues are. So help us get to know you better.
Sometimes it's too many present issues to list. Personally, I'm also a social worker. I work for a community-based organization within a school. So I actually get to work with high school students who are overage and unaccredited, meaning that a traditional high school somewhere failed them and they weren't able to meet the high school criteria to graduate. So they come and apply and we accept it and all that good stuff. But just seeing the discrepancies between, we have different situations, but even students who have an issue with substance abuse, but not being able to receive services because they not screwed up enough. Yeah. So, we have, yes, you might have health insurance, but guess what? It will not cover because your addiction is not strong enough yet. So continue to use drugs to some extent. When you are really bad, come back and apply and let's see if you qualify for services. That's how our system is, unfortunately. Working closer with the Department of Education, also seeing the discrepancies with students who are English as a second language learners and the services that they receive if they don't receive. Or students who should have been somewhat provided additional services because they need additional support to learn. But now at a high school age, when they are 18 years old, guess what? You are too old to qualify for additional service. So we still have a group of youngsters who are not able to complete high school, and even when they are, they're not ready for anything else because the system failed them earlier. And maybe parents weren't aware of what to do, but maybe our schools were too comfortable to push or involve parents in the process to get for services. So then we end up with young adults who have, no access to completing high school because their levels of literacies are too low. Some of them have a language barrier. So what happens to them? So they become part of the system where they start, dealing with drugs. They start making money.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, there's so many issues to name that it's like, which one is our priority? We have students who, are foster care kids and, the system is not where it needs to be. Come on. We have the issues. I worked with our parish. We'd invite a lot of those shelters and we try to reach out to the homeless population as well. And it's like, it's a non-stop. It's a situation, it's great to be able to help them, but we are very limited as to what can we do. We do it once a year or twice a year. So what happens the other 362 days or 363 days that we don't have access to reach out to them? What else can we do?
So the system is not working.
It's not.
Things are crumbling all around us. We're spending our money on war,
Tell me about it.
defunding everything else. So what do we do?
It's built in a way where it feeds itself.
Right.
It keeps the person at that level. Because there's no getting better. So if you have a person who is not well educated or just has no education whatsoever, and they're living on a minimal income, and they're living in a drug-infested neighborhood, in apartments that you wouldn't believe that exist in New York City, where they have very minimal help. Where if the rent goes up, if their public assistance goes up $2, their rent goes up $3. So you have to cut corners, and that's where you get people who do all kinds of criminal things that you wonder, oh well, morally, where are well? There goes that part where if you were hungry, would you steal? Sometimes we force people to be in that situation, and we are the richest nation. We have enough food to feed everyone and then some, and we pay farmers not to grow crops. I mean, that's ridiculous to me. We have a mental health epidemic. Are these neighborhoods, Washington Heights, you can be on, you can have suicidal ideations and be on a list waiting for mental health services to commence for 6 months. That person has to, deal with that every single day. And you're saying, hold off, wait 6 months. You have no health insurance, good luck. You have a substance abuse problem, and if it's not, how she said, great enough, for you to get help, you have to have a positive toxicology. So I have to get high before I can go in and get help.
So how do we come together and help each other? What's the role of the Catholic Church?
I mean, I think we have the most, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but we have the most charities. Catholic Church has the most charities in the world to address every need. And even as a New York City worker, I do use a lot of different resources, a lot of social service agencies that we've come up with. But it's almost like a drop in the bucket. It's just not enough.